get this question out of the way. I mean, obviously, we haven't talked to Josh since the drop. Have you talked to him or seen him about how he's feeling after that or how he's operated since then?
Yeah, I see Josh every day in the locker room. Obviously, he would like to make the game when he played, but Josh is still a great player, one of the best players in the country. So, his morale, I'm not really worried about that because I know he's going to bounce back. And, people at Austin had said a little earlier, we wouldn't be nowhere near as good as we are this year if it wasn't for Josh. So.
Did anybody say anything to him in the locker room, or what was that kind of seem like to pick him up a little bit?
The biggest thing was after the game, just telling him to pick his head up. Now we're focused on NC State, so it's a new week ahead. So I'm 100% sure he isn't focused on that anymore. We got a new week, rivalry week. That's what everybody signed up for. So.
Cool, thanks.
How different do you expect State's offense to be since it's like the quarterback situation is not exactly sure who's going to be starting?
I mean, at the end of the day, football doesn't change that much. They're going to come in here and try to run the ball. So that's about it. When you get to rivalry games, it's not about like the trick plays, it's about physicality. It's about coming in here, see who wants it more in the last game, regular season game. So that's definitely, we're not really worried about like who they put in quarterback. At the end of the day, it's about us and how we play. So.
How much was last year a motivation coming into this week?
I know personally it's been a big motivation for me. I remember how that felt leaving off their field with the loss. It just didn't feel good, especially for the seniors. That's the biggest thing. Me being a senior this year, like I wouldn't want that feeling. So that's been a big motivational factor. Making sure I send the seniors out on a high note.
You have the option to use the COVID year, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Have you thought about that? Have you made a decision on that?
Yeah, I'm walking on senior night, so this will be my last year.
Your last year?
Yeah, so.
How did it feel, Chris? Like you said you remembered it. Like, was it a sense of like, I cannot believe, I think it was 2 touchdowns in a minute 30.
It was kind of like a sense of like a blink of an eye, because I was actually on the onside team, so I was on the field when they recovered the onside kick. So that was like another like, this can't be happening. It felt like a nightmare, but when I woke up, it was still real. So it's not something I wish on anybody. That wasn't good for them.
Y'all been talking about the game this week, like last year's game this week as motivation?
Not really, just because I don't want that to guys focus on the negative. Like at the end of the day, it's a big game because it's the next game, and they're right down the road. That's a big thing, like we always see these guys around town, only being 25 minutes apart from them, I was recruited with some of the guys, so I know them personally outside of football. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to mess up close to home, like Coach Brown likes to say, just because we always see these guys, and that's bragging rights. And for 365 days, all you hear about is that loss. I know that's all we've heard about being around these guys last year loss, so definitely want to change that.
To go back to the decision that you made about walking and not coming back, what went into that decision and what's next for you?
I'm not quite sure what's next. I'm gonna sit down with my family, just figure out what I want to go through next. But the biggest thing is I've had a great 5 years at Carolina. Just living here on a high note. I'm very thankful for Coach Brown and the staff. Obviously, giving me the opportunity to play here, and it's been a great time, man. I wouldn't change it for the world.
What is your fondest personal memory? Not team memory, but personal memory.
Personal memory? Definitely changing the narrative around Duke. I remember my freshman year, so I was here 2018. That was the only year we lost to Duke. And I didn't really understand the significance of like the victory bell because I was just a freshman. And I remember like the seniors' faces. I remember like we lost there to Daniel Jones at their place. I remember them seeing like them riding out on the victory bell. I just quite didn't understand it. And then winning 4 straight years, and then my senior year, being able to ride on the bell, ring the victory bell, it's like it came full circle. And it was on their field, it's like everything just came full circle. So I'd ever say my personal memory is definitely changing that narrative around Duke. 2020, I had 2 sacks against Duke. So definitely playing Duke every year, that was a good memory for me.
I'm going to take you back to 2018. I remember the ECU game that didn't go well, and then you're out there, hand on the ground, playing defensive end. You're like, what, 245 pounds maybe?
That's pushing it.
Yeah, pushing it.
220 after I ate pregame meal.
Yeah. So the guy that was thrown to the wolves essentially in that game. Where are you now compared to then as a football player and just as a dude?
Definitely self-confidence is through the roof compared to then, just because that was my first collegiate game. So you definitely have that moment where it's like, do I belong here? You know, is this where I'm supposed to be? So now, you know, just being a fifth-year senior, being a leader on this team, it's definitely good to see growth, see my confidence go through the roof, see my play develop. So that's the biggest thing. Just realizing, like, yeah, you can play with anybody. And, you know, it's, at the end of the day, it's just the game you love, football. I grew up playing this game, so that's the big
Do you remember what you weighed that week? You guys weighed in that week, right? Remember what it
Yeah.
was?
I'm not gonna lie to you, it wasn't over 220. It wasn't over 220. That's why I'm so close to Malachi now. You know, he reminds me of such a younger me, like, cause you know, we're on him a little bit about getting his weight up, stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, it's gonna come with time and just making sure you eat. That's the biggest thing, man, just eating. So when I see Malachi, I always remember younger Chris.
Chris, what is it like having the ACC championship game out there? I mean, you've played in the regular season finale before and you've gone to a bowl before, but like, what is it like having this in between there? Is such a huge thing that'll probably determine what bowl you go to and that type of thing. Just what is that like?
Oh, that's huge. Coming to UNC, that was a big goal of mine, getting to the ACC championship, just because that's the pinnacle of your conference. You know, this is a Power 5 conference in college football, so that was like a big goal I wanted to accomplish. So now, you know, being able to finish that, obviously we're going to handle this week, NC State, you know, this week first, but that's definitely something that I had circled in my college career.
What was your reaction to, it was a long time ago, it seems like it was this summer now, and Drake was talking to us on a Tuesday and he went in on NC State a little bit jokingly. He basically said, you know, if you can't go to college, go to state, jokingly. Like, what was your reaction to him saying that? And does anybody mess with him about those comments now that the Wolfpack is coming up?
Nobody really messes with him, you know, it's just honest mistake. You know, he's a young guy, so at the end of the day, it was just an honest mistake. He was just trying to make a little joke. Obviously, got a little rise out of the fans, but you know, Drake's a great guy. That wasn't any of his intent, but you know, I'm excited to see him go out there and compete this week, man. That's one thing about Drake. I know he's really excited about this week. Him being a North Carolina guy too, so yeah.
Him being goofy, it seemed like.
Yeah. Honest mistake, man. We all make it.